Hi, and welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Here is your host, Dr. and Evangelist K.L. Rich.
Hi, and thanks for tuning in today. This is Narc Abuse No More, where we're helping people admit what they feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's podcast, I would like to invite you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org. And on our website, you'll find valuable information regarding narcissism, relationships. And if you have missed any of these podcasts, all you have to do is go directly to our website and listen to us from there. And just to let you know, we are on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, and that is on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, Castbox, and Deezer. We're also on Amazon Audible, Rumble, Brighteon, and the Tube. That's right, we're on YouTube. So you have a variety of different platforms that you can listen to us from, but if all else fails, all you have to do is go directly to our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Also, just to let you know, the beginning of the year, in addition to this podcast, we're going to be airing a new podcast called Veterans in Christ. And on that podcast, we're going to be talking about spiritual things as well as things that's going to help veterans and active duty servicemen for us knowing about their benefits that they are entitled to receive after they get out the military. We're going to be talking about disability claims, CMP exams, depression, PTSD, suicide prevention. We're also going to be talking about the GI Bill, what you or your dependents are entitled to, TRICARE, medical benefits. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things when it comes to that podcast, because believe it or not, a lot of people don't know what they're entitled to. And all the time when people have gotten out of the military, vets have gotten out, they did not know how to even go about filing for different claims and everything, or they might have been denied and didn't know that they can do an appeal, or there were other things that they could do in order to get their claims pass through. So we want to definitely talk about those things. And just to give you a little taste of what you'll be hearing on that podcast, I'm going to let you hear this right now.
Young man on the road to the army. Young man on the road to the army. Got this letter saying we had war. Got this letter saying we had war. Pack your things, the news is alarming. Pack your things, the news is alarming. We gon' kill some Vietcong. We gon' kill some Vietcong.
And we are going to be talking about a lot of things, and this is just a part of what you're going to be hearing on the Veterans in Christ podcast. This young man, Jonathan Michael Fleming, he has a lot of people, a lot of cadences on there. A lot of people are listening to his cadences on YouTube. They're on YouTube, and I believe he has some on Spotify. I don't know all his different platforms, but I know you definitely can find them on YouTube. That's when I first heard about him, and I believe he has it on Spotify as well. So Jonathan Michael Fleming, you can listen to his cadences on there. The first one I heard, I was like, wow. It was just amazing. And so he has all these different cadences that I love to listen to. So we're going to be playing some of them on our podcast starting in January. All right, what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about the cycle of domestic violence. The cycle of domestic violence. there are so many people that are going through abuse. And even if you're not maybe getting hit, you might be going through the emotional part. You might be dealing with financial abuse. You might be dealing with spiritual abuse. There are a lot of types of abuse, and we put it up under the umbrella of narcissistic abuse. But today we're dealing with the cycle of domestic violence, the cycle of domestic violence. And today's, as always, I love to give you a website where you can get this valuable information at www.centerforresearch.org, www.centerforresearch.org. And today we're talking about the cycle of domestic violence. Now, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 10 men in the United States experience domestic violence, and according to statistics, 1,500 die each year, and it may be more than that when you count even across the world. There are people that are just snapping. I'm hearing and I'm reading articles where men getting frustrated with the children and they take themselves out. They take the children out and themselves. It's so much that's going on, and so I want today to talk about that when it comes to domestic violence, we really don't even have all the statistics of it because a lot of it does not get reported. A lot of it does not get reported, and many people don't seek the help that they need because they're afraid to seek the help that they need. So, whereas, people, we might have the statistics may be even higher than what we know because it often goes unreported. So, I want to talk about what domestic violence is. And domestic violence is any action or anything that attempts to harm someone, to intimidate someone, to manipulate someone, to scare someone, or to force someone to do something that they would not otherwise want to do. And the abuser knows that this person does not want to fulfill whatever the action is that they're wanting them to do. So therefore, they use other psychological ways in order to gain control to make them do what they want. Domestic violence is not just in the physical. If you're stalking someone, that's up under the realm of narcissist. I'm sorry, of domestic violence. If you are sexually abusing someone, that is domestic violence. If you psychologically, financially, that is considered domestic violence. So don't think that just because you don't have a blue or black eye that you're not experiencing domestic violence or domestic abuse. Children, family members, those that you're living with can also be victims of domestic violence or be the person who is the abuser. A lot of people are experiencing elder abuse, and I don't think I've ever talked about the elder abuse, but there's a lot of elder abuse that's going on in homes and in nursing homes. Yes, they are happening in nursing homes. We've seen those reports of those that are whether they're CNAs or nurses or whatever the case may be, that's beating up on patients. That is elder abuse. Um, physical violence is only just one part of domestic violence. Again, we just named there's different types of domestic violence. And if you or someone you know is experiencing this and you know that they need help, please give them the information to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And that is the website address is www.thehotline.org, www.thehotline.org. You can also call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. TTY callers 1-800-787-3224. Also, you can text the word START to 88788. Again, text the word START to 88788. You are not alone. You do not have to go through this alone. And oftentimes, victims of domestic violence, they feel as if they're alone, that no one's going to believe them. And oftentimes, it's because the abuser has made them feel as if no one would believe them. And even though they may have their flying monkeys, aka enablers, that may not believe, there is someone that you can talk to. Go to your police if you need to go to the police. Go to a close family member if you're able to trust that person, a close friend. There's someone, even if you don't know anyone, call or contact this information that I just gave to the National Domestic Violence Hotline so that you can get the help that you need. Now, one of the things when it comes to physical violence, the cycle of abuse, is all about power and control. And that's with any type of abuse. It's about power and control. One person wanting to have power and control over another individual. And they use different ways in order to obtain that power and control. So one of the things that they do is they use intimidation methods. They try to make that person afraid through looks, through their posture, through actions, destroying things, tearing up whatever belongs to that person, and even waving weapons. Not too well, it hasn't been that long, but a while ago, someone that I know that's a pastor had put a gun up to his wife's head. And let me just say this. Under no circumstances should you ever return to someone who has put a weapon up to your head. Many people are in abusive situations where the partner has put a weapon to their head, threatened them with the weapon, and they did it once, they did it twice, and one day they actually followed through with it. And I don't care what anyone tell you. Let me just say this. I'm an evangelist, but let me just say this. I have heard pastors tell women that they have to stay in those relationships. That's a lie. That's a lie. Well, God hates divorce. He also hates the things that lead to divorce. And also, if you are being abused, you are endangering your life. And if you have children, you're endangering the lives of your children. So many women and some children are dead today because the threat became real. So they may have been going through this physical violence, this domestic violence, whether it was physical, sexual, whatever, going through the violence, because what normally takes place is it normally doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It normally were things that were leading up to that moment. And so therefore the person did not leave. This is not to blame the victim, but because they may have been afraid to leave or may have felt they were not in the best situation to leave, whatever the situation was, they did not leave, and therefore they're dead today, their children are dead today, and sometimes even the abuser themselves if it's a murder suicide. This is unacceptable. And let me just say this to the women, and please talk to your teenagers. Many teenagers are in abusive relationships, and I'm going to do a podcast on that real soon. Many teenagers are in abusive relationships, and the parents don't even know it. Or the parents may have an inkling of it, and then they don't do anything because they're in abusive relationships themselves. Don't let your child be a victim. And don't you yourself be a victim. Today is the day to say enough is enough. Women, if you talk to your daughters, ladies, talk to your daughters, your mother, talk to your daughters. Tell them what they should and should not accept in a relationship by modeling it yourself. One hit is one hit too many. One kick is one kick too many. One punch is one punch too many. Do not allow yourself to be anyone's punching bag, whether it's physically, emotionally, verbally, whatever. You are not someone's punching bag. But you have to tell yourself that I am not someone's punching bag. Please repeat after me. I am not someone's punching bag. I am not anyone's punching bag. Again, if whether it's physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, spiritual, I am not your punching bag. And you have to tell yourself that. And tell your children that. And let them see that by you making that decision to say, you know what? Enough is enough. If you have been in an abusive relationship, then it's time to safely get out of that abuse. Don't let anyone tell you that you have to stay in an abusive situation and you're the one getting your head bashed in. Enough is enough. Because one hit could be your last. That person, you hear them threatening you, saying, if you leave, I'm going to kill you, whatever the case may be. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. Try your best to get out of that situation as safely as possible. Another thing that they use when you talk about this power and control with domestic violence is they use emotional abuse. So they may put you down. They may make you feel bad about yourself. They may call you names. They may tell you that you're crazy. They may try to humiliate you. They try to guilt you. These are all manipulative mind games that oftentimes abusers will use in order to gain power and control over their victim. Because they feel as if they can put you down and you believe what they're saying to you, then they can have you do anything that they want you to do, including stay in that abusive relationship, because they're going to make you feel as if no one else will want you and no one else will accept you and no one else will love you and no one else will care for you. And those are all lies. You know, the Bible says that you have to resist the devil and he will flee. These demons that are abusers are demonic. They are not operating as Christ would have us to love. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, and you don't deserve someone to be hitting you, abusing you, verbally calling you names and doing all those things to you. Another thing that abusers love to do as a method of their power and control is use isolation. They want to isolate you from anyone and everyone whom they think may be instrumental in causing you to leave them. They are very jealous, and so therefore they justify their actions and they make you feel as if, oh, well, I'm just concerned. But no, it's jealousy. They don't want you around your family because they think your family can see through them, and more likely they can. They don't want you around your friends because they know that they can possibly see through them, and so anyone who can see through the abuser is automatically threat number one. Okay, we know you have those DEFCON levels that lets you know if we're close to war and all those things. Okay, you're on the DEFCON chart. Get out while you can, as safely as possible. Allow that person to get the help that they need, and don't fall for the I've changed. Oh, I'm no longer the same person. If that person has not gone to get the help that they need, and let me say this, it takes time. Oh, just a few months of therapy is not good enough, okay? Ladies, don't put yourselves and your children in danger because you are wanting companionship. Many people are getting involved in the wrong relationship because they're saying, I'm lonely. I need somebody. I want to be with somebody. Well, guess what? It's better to be at peace by yourself than to be than to be intimidated with a peace, if you get what I'm saying. True love does not hurt. And I always tell people that I counsel, whatever, to go to 1 Corinthians 13, really starting at verse 4, where it defines love. Because many people have an idea of love, but they don't really know what love actually is. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
Soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be.
You Raise Me Up, and that is by Josh Groban. You Raise Me Up. And one of the things that we try to do on this podcast is to raise you up to awareness. Raise your awareness. Raise your level of self-confidence. Raise you up to know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And you have to know that full well, as the psalmist said. Another thing, when you're talking about being on this cycle of abuse, an abuser will try to minimize and blame you for everything. They will make you feel as if everything is your fault because they never take responsibility for their actions and what they do in the relationship that's wrong. So they will even deny that the abuse happened, or if they say that, well, you made me do this to you, so they would shift the blame onto you to make you feel as if you deserve to get punched, you deserve to get hit, you deserve for them to sexually abuse you, you deserve for them to financially abuse you, you deserve for them to verbally and emotionally abuse you. If you had not done A, then I would not have done B, so therefore I did C in order to keep you from doing D. No, please stop. Hold it up. Stop the press. You are not at fault for what someone else does. They have to take responsibility, and even though they don't, they are responsible for their own actions. No one made them raise a hand to you. No one made them choke you. No one made them beat you. No one made them kick you. No one made them spit on you. No one made them do those things except for them making a conscious choice to do those things. I'm here to tell you today that you are not to be treated lower than an animal. I have dogs. I have a dog. I have cats. I don't beat my cats. I don't kick my dog. I don't spit at my animals. I don't choke my animals. I take care of them, as any responsible pet owner will tell you. But see, you're above the pet. We're not animals of that nature. So therefore, you are not to be treated as such, even though many of us who are responsible pet owners know that we don't treat our animals like that. I feed my animals. I take them to the vet. I make sure they're clean. I take care of them. I give them water. I give them attention. I give them affection. And you deserve that plus some. Many times abusers take advantage of those who don't already feel good about themselves. It's like a magnet. And they're drawn to those who don't feel good about themselves. And let me just say this to the abuser. You actually don't feel good about yourself, because if you did, then you would not take your hand to hit someone else, to abuse them, to manipulate them, to violate their sense of well-being. Another thing that they would do with the power control is they would use the children. They will make you feel guilty by saying, oh, you're not a good parent, you're not a good mother, you're not a good father. They will say, you know what, if you try to leave me, I'm going to take you to court and I'm getting sole custody of the children. And this is why it's important to make sure that you tell other people what is going on. Make sure you document it, times, dates. Tell your doctor if you're going through something, because your doctor has to keep whatever you tell them in confidence so that you will be okay, that you will be protected. And let me just say this. The abuser doesn't want you to know that you can get help. But you can get help. You don't have to rely on that abuser. Or they want you to feel as if you have to rely on them financially, physically, all these things, just so they can manipulate and dominate. And let me just say this, just because someone does something nice for you, doesn't mean they love you. We haven't talked about love bombing in a while. Just because someone does something nice for you doesn't mean that they love you. You have women that go through abuse all the time, and then the men, after they beat them up, then they'll go get them flowers and everything, and then want to get laid or whatever, and think, oh, now all is well that ends well. And then we're talking about, like we're talking about today, the cycle of abuse. Another thing is you have people that are abusers, they will use economic abuse. We're talking about financial abuse, withhold the money, have you give them all the money on your check. Don't allow you to be able to go get the things you need. And if you need something, then you have to beg for it to tell them to give you some money in order to get basic items. That is abuse. And there are both physical and mental consequences of abuse. A person that is being abused physically, you may deal with broken bones. Many people have had their teeth knocked out, eye sockets knocked out. Come on now, hair torn out. I mean, literally, their hair torn out from the roots because this person dragged them and pulled their hair. I mean, all kinds of lacerations and things, been kicked. Some have had even miscarriages from being abused. And let me just say this, even with the sexual abuse, some of you have been abused sexually because a person went out and cheated and came back and gave you something. Your life is in danger. And even though, and let me just say this for those who are with somebody that you know cheating on you, that's abuse. That's abuse. That's another form of abuse. They're going out laying with somebody else and they're coming back. Some of you have had somebody to go do that to you, went and laid with somebody and came back and gave you something that you couldn't get rid of. Or you might have gotten rid of it and then it come back again because they went and cheated again and they gave it to you again. And then you have to stay always on some kind of antibiotics or something like that because they're going out cheating on you. It wasn't you that did the cheating, they went and did it. But let me just say this too. You have those that have been abused and have been cheated on, and then you wind up being the one to go cheat on them to try to get back at them. That is not a relationship that you should be in. It's not healthy. It's better to leave the person, split from that person, than to be doing the cheating back and forth, back and forth. This is not a good place to be in. Who wants that kind of drama in their lives? Let me ask you a question. Don't you want to be at peace? See, again, people think that, oh, because you're single, that's the worst thing. No, the worst thing is if I was with somebody, married to somebody who's beating me upside my head, that is the worst thing. Many of you need to come to the understanding that it's better to be single all day long than to begin your head knocked in on any given day. The Bible talks about the peace that surpasses all understanding that's in God. You have to know your value. You have to know your worth. Many people have had PTSD, and we're going to be talking about on the next podcast 15 signs of emotional abuse that can cause PTSD. Many people have gotten PTSD just because of going through abuse, and it caused them to have social dysfunctions, eating disorders, sleeping disorders, suicidal attempts or thoughts. And children are the innocent ones in this. If you have children, they are innocent in this, and they don't deserve to see you going through this or be up under the roof of someone who cannot control their emotions, their anger, their rage, their bitterness, their resentment. So there are the cycle of abuse, and many people, they stay in abuse. Why? Because they're going through the cycle and they think, oh, things are going to get better, and because this person doesn't beat me every day, this person doesn't yell at me every day, curse me every day, this person doesn't do this or that every single day, and therefore they're really sweet. And I just look at the good side. Let me say, there are no good sides to abuse. There are no good sides to abuse. You have to look at it for what it is. At least you should. There are no good sides to abuse. You have the tension building phase where things start escalating. Then you have the abusive incident where actually the punch, the kick, the sexual abuse, it actually goes into play. Then you have the honeymoon phase where everything is calm and that person is being nice and being sweet, and then the tension builds back up again. You have this cycle of abuse that's never ending. So you're on this roller coaster that never stops until you decide to jump off. You have to be the one to make the decision. In that tension building phase, the victim feel like they're walking on eggshells around that victim. So you know that things are escalating, and anything you say is going to make them go off, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter how long it lasts. Whether it's a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, it's building up. And so you're walking around knowing that it's about to explode at any moment. And that's a part of the control that the abuser wants to have over you, is to make you feel as if you have to always be cautiously walking around them in order to avoid their wrath. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Understand why when life gets hard, you start to cry. Now you can dry all those tears that comes through fears with his supply. Just like a medicine, just like a medicine, just like a medicine, like a medicine, a medicine. Laughter does good, like a medicine. Oh God, just like a medicine, just like a medicine. Now tomorrow may bring one or two things that you don't like.
And if it does, you can rise above, and win the fight. One way to win it is to love. Just like a medicine, just like a medicine, just like a medicine. Just like a medicine.
Keep on laughing.
Laughter does good,
Like a medicine,
just like a medicine.
and it works, y'all.
Just like a medicine.
So when they lie on you,
Laugh about,
when they talk about you,
laugh about,
when they scandalize your name,
laugh about.
that's when you take your
Take your medicine.
let it go down, let it go down.
Laugh about it.
Let it heal your broken heart.
Laugh about it.
Laughter will heal your broken heart. When you take your
Your medicine.
now let me hear you laugh. Oh, in the good time, mostly in the bad time. Let it go just like
Medicine. Let it go down.
wipe the tears away. Come on, wipe the tears away. Let go, wipe the tears away.
Just like medicine.
Let it go down, let it go down. Let it does
Just
good,
like
yeah.
medicine.
It does good,
Just
yeah.
like medicine.
Like Pepto-Bismol.
Like medicine.
Healed it, healed it. Soothed it, healed it, soothed
Just
it.
like medicine. Like a medicine. Just like medicine.
Say it one more time.
Does good. Just like a medicine.
Life through your trials.
Just like a medicine.
Oh, just like a medicine.
And that is BB Wine and laughter, just like medicine. And sometimes you just have to laugh. Come on now. Oh, because there are so many things that you may be going through and you need laughter. But let me just say this, laughter apart from that abuser, because if you stay in that cycle of abuse, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. We talked about the tension building phase, and then you have the actual abusive incident where the tension finally breaks and that abuser becomes physical, or the abuser may hit, the abuser may rape the victim. This is going on, people, in various homes. There is no denying when it comes to even basic necessities. Some people have been locked out of their checking accounts. Whenever the abuser wants to try to gain control, they will try to do what they can in order to hurt the individual. So whether that's physically, whether it's verbally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, whatever they can do to humiliate you or even threaten you, this is the abusive phase of the cycle. No one should have to walk on eggshells around anyone. You just shouldn't have to walk on eggshells. And if people are that abusive, then it's time to let go of that relationship, split ways from that relationship as safely as possible. And you say, well, you know what? I don't believe in divorce or whatever case may be. At least separate from that individual so that you and or your children can be safe. And be careful about going back into a relationship where that person has not even had the opportunity to work on themselves with a professional. I'm not just talking about, oh, we took some weeks apart and he said he's changed and he missed me, he loved me, because oftentimes when you go back into their relationship, the abuse is going to be that much worse. Talk to many of the victims who did it, who are still alive to be able to say what happened to them. It's not a pretty picture. The honeymoon phase is another part of the cycle of abuse. Whereas during the honeymoon phase, the abuser will buy gifts, they will be affectionate, they will make up, they will promise, oh, I'll never do it again, and they persuade you to stay in the relationship or to come back to them, or well, they're gonna make sure that everything is all beautiful, and it may be for a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but then it always goes back when that person has not gotten the help that they need. And again, I've seen so many women so desperate to be in a relationship with someone, and is it worth it? Is it? You have to ask yourself, is it worth my sense of my low self-esteem that the person causes me to have, the gaslighting that I feel when I'm with this individual causing me to doubt my reality? Is it worth it? Is it worth the bruises? You're being physically abused and you're trying to wear makeup to cover up or shades to cover up what the person has done, or you're wearing some wigs to try to have the hair longer on one side so no one will see the abuse from when that person punched you on the side of your face, or you're wearing maybe some clothes that to make sure that no one sees the black and blue bruises on you that person has on you from that morning's encounter with them with their fists. Sometimes people are afraid to face the reality of their situation. And they feel like, well, I'm going to stay in this relationship because I'm embarrassed to tell people what was done to me. Listen. Do you think your friends, your family, your loved ones would be more so wanting to be burying you in a casket? Do you think that the humiliation, you might say, well, I don't want to seem like a failure. You're not the failure. You're not a failure. You can't control what someone else does. You can only control what you do. If that person wants to hit you, if that person wants to be violent with you, if that person wants to abuse you in any form, you cannot control what they do, but you can, as safely as possible, control your ability to get out of the situation by getting the help that you need. And sometimes that requires parting ways with that individual. Yes, it does. It requires parting ways with that individual. A lot of times, you're dealing with someone that's drinking. They may be into drugs. They may do certain lifestyles that escalates the violence. You may be so afraid when that person comes through the doorway. As soon as they pull up from work, you're scared. You're walking on eggshells because you don't know what kind of day that person may have had. And of course, if it's a bad day, they're going to take it out on you. That's no way to live. That is no way to live. You have to tell yourself that you deserve better. No one deserves to be abused. And you might say, oh, well, that person, they're abusive because they were abused. That does not give them the right to abuse you. It does not give them the right to make new victims. But no one can make you see that. You have to do it yourself. You have to open your eyes yourself. You have to see that you deserve better. And when a person can't treat you as you deserve, then guess what? You got to get to that point where you can gladly open the door and either you walk out or you send them packing. But somebody has to leave. All right, we are up out of here. I pray that today's podcast has been a blessing to you. And before we end today's podcast, I do want to give you the information to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And that is www.thehotline.org, www.thehotline.org. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. TTY callers, 1-800-787-3224. You can also text the word START to 88788. Again, text the word START to 88788. Know this. You may not have had anyone tell you that I love you, but let me tell you, I love you and God does too. You are loved and you have to learn to love yourself. This is Dr. K.L. Rich for Narc Abuse No More. Until next time.
We want to thank you for taking the time to join us today on Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Until next time.